Hello everyone, I'm Heather and this channel is Heather Travels, where I make videos about cruising and travel. If you're interested in cruising and travel content, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you get a notification of each of my new videos. In today's video, I want to talk to you about 3 myths about cruising on Disney Cruise Line and then share with you what the truth actually is. A lot of people who've never been on Disney Cruise Line have a lot of misperception about what it's like. They tend to think one thing, and then when you experience Disney Cruise Line, especially if you've cruised with other cruise lines, they find it to be very different than what they were expecting. The other thing that's very true about Disney Cruise Line is there's a lot of people who really love Disney Cruise Line and will argue to their dying breath that Disney Cruise Line is the best cruise line that there is. My family are big fans of Disney Cruise Line. I will tell you that right from the outset. We really enjoy our cruise experiences on Disney Cruise Line, but it is very different than the cruise experience you're going to have on other cruise lines. There's a lot of myths about Disney Cruise Line, but today I'm going to tackle 3 of them. Myth number 1 about Disney Cruise Line: it's only for children. This is definitely not true. You will actually see more adults on Disney cruises than children. And I have taken my children, I have 3 kids, and I've taken my children on Disney cruises at a whole bunch of different ages. The youngest was I took my daughter Megan on the Disney Wonder when she was 5 months old. Yes, that's right, 5 months old. They won't even let you take a baby that young anymore. The minimum now is 6 months. And different cruise lines have different regulations about that, and I did actually make an entire video about taking a baby on a cruise, which I will link up here for you. I've also taken my kids when they were various different ages: preschoolers, elementary school age, middle school, teenage, and adult. So I've had the whole range of experiences. I took my first Disney cruise in 2001 when I was 28 years old, I think. 28, yeah. So that was my first experience. And at that time, Disney Cruise Line was only 3 years old. It hadn't been around very long. So at the time I went on my first Disney cruise, which was on the Disney Magic, the ship was only 2 or 3 years old. One of my favorite other travel content creators on YouTube is Gary Bembridge, who makes videos for his channel, Tips for Travelers. Gary is very well respected among the cruise community. He gives a lot of great information about cruising. One of the cruise lines, or the cruise line, that most of his viewers requested that he try, that he had never experienced before, was Disney Cruise Line. So even though Disney Cruise Line, Gary knew it wasn't going to be his favorite thing in the world, he went on it anyway because he wanted to experience it and be able to share the information for his viewers. And I think he did a really good job and gave a fair assessment of what the experience was like for him. Now, here's something that Gary concluded too. The myth that Disney Cruise Line, just like the Disney theme parks, honestly, is only for kids is false. That's not true at all. For one thing, Disney Cruise Line has more adults-only spaces on it than any other cruise line out there, except for those few cruise lines that are only for adults, like Virgin or Saga. So you have more dedicated adults-only space on Disney Cruise Line than you do on any other cruise line. The reason they can do that is twofold. One, there's a lot of adults who travel on Disney Cruise Line without kids. Secondly, Disney Cruise Line has the most extensive and probably the best kids club offerings of any cruise line. So they really make it easy and possible for parents to be able to have time apart from their kids while you're on a Disney cruise, because they're safely and happily in the hands of their very well-trained Disney Cruise Line kids staff. The point was that Gary really made, and I had never really thought about this before because he was coming from the perspective of someone who is not really a Disney fan or very knowledgeable about Disney. And I've always been coming from the perspective of someone who is a huge Disney fan and knows a ton about Disney. This is also kind of true for people who are Marvel fans or Star Wars fans. And I know that there's, that can be a subset. There could be people who are Star Wars fans but don't care at all about Marvel or the rest of Disney. Or there could be people who are Marvel fans, or there could be people who are fans of 2 of the 3 or whatever. All 3 of those people would enjoy a Disney cruise. However, I especially would recommend, if you are a Star Wars fan or you are a Marvel fan, there are Star Wars themed Disney cruises at certain times of the year on certain ships, and there are Marvel Day at Sea Disney cruises on certain ships and dates. So if you're really a Star Wars fan or you're really a Marvel fan, I would encourage you to look for those specific cruises, because you're going to have some really fantastic character experiences and talks and things like that, and that you won't have on other Disney cruises. There is still an element of Star Wars and Marvel on all the Disney cruise ships though. So, but those special Marvel Day at Sea and Star Wars Day at Sea cruises are going to be extra cool for people who are Star Wars and Marvel fans. Okay, sorry, that was a quick aside. But what the point that Gary was making was that you don't necessarily need to be a child. You need to be a fan of Disney. So if you don't know the characters and you don't know the basic stories from Disney movies, basically, you know, and this goes from the classic movies all the way back to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, all the way to the most, you know, the newest stuff. If you don't follow along with that and you don't have any familiarity with that, it's not that you're going to hate it, but it's that you're going to be missing out on a lot. You're going to be confused or lost, or just, even best case scenario, not appreciating the experience to the fullest extent that Disney means for you to. So it's not necessarily that it's only for children, because adults, me included, very much enjoy our Disney cruises, and I never got to go on a Disney cruise as a kid. It's that you really need to be more of a Disney fan, or at least have knowledge about Disney, or as Gary said, at least be traveling with someone who is a Disney fan or who does have good knowledge about Disney so they can explain it to you. As far as like the age appropriateness of the ship, I really do think it's probably best to wait to take your kids on a Disney cruise until they can walk, and probably even better until they're potty trained, because they will not let you put your kid in the kids club, except for It's a Small World nursery, which is limited in how much time your baby can be in there, until they're fully potty trained, not wearing pull-ups or anything like that. So I think it's better to wait until your kids are a little bit bigger, you know, maybe like 4, before you take them on a Disney cruise. My first Disney cruise was with my son Andrew when he was 4, and he had a great time. He loved going in the kids clubs, but there was plenty for him and I to do together. I got to do cool adult things while he was in the kids clubs. It was the best of both worlds. I will say that a Disney cruise is an excellent vacation, both in value and experience, for a single parent like myself. As a solo parent, any cruise, honestly, is a really good choice for a single parent vacation. If you're Disney fans, a Disney cruise is even better. So you will see a lot of multi-generational families on Disney cruises, grandparents, parents, kids. You will also see solo parent families like ours. You will see families traveling together. You will also see couples on their honeymoon. And you'll see older couples who are just big Disney fans or just really like the ships and like to travel alone as adults. You will see some solo adults on Disney cruise. There's really nobody age-wise who, you know, I don't think it's good for. However, I can tell you that our least enjoyable experiences, if there is such a thing, would have been for us as parents when we took my daughter when she was 5 months old, because she did not like going in the nursery and she cried and they had to page us. And so we pretty much had to have her with us all of the time. And we just weren't anticipating that. And so that was kind of a little bit of a bummer for us. Like we had to hold her at dinner and stuff because she wasn't even big enough to sit up in a high chair. And then on our 2017 Disney cruise on the Disney Wonder, which was with all 3 of my kids, I think some aspects of it were a little bit of a letdown for my oldest son, who at the time was, I think, 19. That's a weird age, honestly, on any cruise, though, not just Disney. I mean, he still loved the Disney stuff and the Star Wars stuff and the Marvel stuff, but they're too old to go in the kids' clubs and they're too young to drink. Now, there's no casinos on Disney Cruise Line, but he couldn't go into the adults. Oh, no, actually he could. He could go into the adults only area. You have to be 18. And he could go to Palo with me or Remy or the specialty adults restaurants. But there wasn't any kind of like activities just for that age group between like 19 to 20-year-olds. So that can be a little bit of a tough time for anybody really to go on any cruise. Otherwise, I would say anybody between like 4 and 99 is good on a Disney cruise. So it's not that it's just for children. It's definitely not just for children. A lot of stuff that, goes on a Disney cruise is going to go right over kids' heads. It's good for all ages. It's more whether or not you like Disney stuff. Okay, myth number 2 is if you like Disney theme parks, you'll like Disney Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line is not Disney theme parks, okay? Here's the thing you need to remember about Disney as a company. It is a entertainment giant. They do all sorts of things, and theme parks are just one of those things. Cruise lines is one of those things. ABC Television, Hulu, ESPN Sports, they've got their hand in all kinds of bowls. They do very quality stuff in whatever they do. They have a high standard, but it's not the same experience. And I made another video about this because we got to actually go to Disneyland in California, Walt Disney World in Florida, and on a Disney cruise all in 2022. And I'm not sure if that video is going to go up before or after this one, but I'm going to link it up here whenever it does go up so you can go back and kind of see what I mean about comparing the experiences. A Disney theme park or any theme park or amusement park experience is a very different experience than going on a cruise. And you'll ask people, which do you like better? Would you rather go to Disney World or would you rather go on a Disney cruise? It's a hard decision because they're really very different experiences. And also, I like them both, but I like them for different reasons. I used to think I wanted to go to Disney World or Disneyland and then immediately go on a Disney cruise. I still might do that someday. The main reason I don't want to do that anymore is I feel like that would be a packing nightmare. You'd have to pack so much stuff because, you need completely different clothes, but I don't know. Has anybody ever done that? Have you done the parks and then gone on a Disney cruise on the same trip? If you have, share your experience in the comments below. I really find that a Disney cruise is going to be more relaxing and more all-inclusive than a Disney theme park vacation. It's also going to be a slower pace and more calm and chill. And there's still fun. There's lots of fun. But you're not going on thrill rides. You're not going on one ride after another. You're still getting good food. But, it's different dining experience. You have the rotational dining on Disney Cruise Line. It's just different. It's very different. If you've never been on a cruise before and you're a Disney fan, I will tell you, you'll love Disney Cruise Line if you're okay with going on a cruise and you really wanted to go on a cruise. I will tell you, though, if that's your first cruise experience, which it was for me, it kind of spoils you and you'll be a little bit disappointed with every other cruise line after that. Not because it's so luxurious or whatever that people think about it. It's just that they just do a really good job. It's a very cool experience and it's very different than other cruising, which I will get to in a second. But if you are apprehensive about cruising, you don't know if you want to go on a ship, or you're afraid of water, or you're scared the ship's going to sink, or you get seasick really bad, that. If any of those things are true and you are apprehensive about cruising, then I probably wouldn't recommend it. Maybe it's worth a try. I don't know. You know yourself better than I do. But you have to want to go on a cruise. It's a cruise. It's not the theme parks. It's got great entertainment. There's shows. There's a cinema. There's movies. There's deck parties. The dining is very immersive and the theming is amazing. But it's still a cruise. You're in a little small cruise cabin. It's not going to be as big as a hotel room. You're on the ship. However, there are some pluses to it too. It's going to take you different places. You can experience different ports and things like that. So, there's pluses and minuses to being on a cruise, but you definitely, if you're going on a Disney cruise, you have to want to go on a cruise and not expect that it's going to be the same vacation experience as if you went to Walt Disney World. Myth number 3 is Disney Cruise Line is just like other cruise lines. It's just more expensive. One of the most common complaints I hear about people And honestly, I think they're jealous. I think they actually really want to go on Disney Cruise Line, and I think they're impatient. I hear people say this all the time. They say it in the comments on my videos. They say it in the comments of other people who've made videos about Disney Cruise Line videos. They say it all the time. I hear this all the time. Why would I go on Disney Cruise Line when it's so expensive? I can go on 2 or 3 cruises on another cruise line for less. Okay. There's a lot of cruise lines that are more expensive than Disney. Okay, I'll tell you that right away. Disney is a premium cruise line. They're not a luxury cruise line. So you could go on, something like Silversea or, Oceania is going to be more expensive than going on Disney Cruise Line. If you're going to say that, what you really should be saying is, I don't want to spend this much on a single cruise. It's not that it's about Disney. It's I don't want to spend this much on a single cruise. If you want to take less expensive cruises more frequently, that's a totally valid point. But I don't like that people always do it with Disney. And I think the reason that they do that is they have it in their head that Disney Cruise Line is just like the other mainstream cruise lines. Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Carnival, and it's definitely not. It's not like any other cruise line. It's not like a luxury cruise line, and it's not like the mainstream cruise lines. And so for people to be trying to compare it to that is wrong. And they're going about it all wrong, and that's why they don't think it has value. And the thing that I've said in the past, and I will continue to say, is you have to remember, again, that Disney is an entertainment giant. They do entertainment very, very well. And what they do with Disney Cruise Line is they entertain you. It is a fully immersive entertainment experience. Now, I should say this. Sorry, I had to move a little. The sun was doing weird things. Okay. It's not as immersive and entertainment as, for example, the Galactic Star Cruiser that they built at Walt Disney World, where you're part of a big story. Okay. It's not like that. But from even when you step into the cruise terminal at Port Canaveral, at least, until you get off the ship, you're fully immersed in the Disney experience and the theming and everything. The theming is really, really, really good. And you've got the character experiences, which is unique to Disney Cruise Line. And you've got just really high quality entertainment. The entertainment staff on Disney Cruise Line is really terrific. There's more activities that families, parents, and their kids can do together on Disney Cruise Line than on any other cruise line I've seen. They really are more about having families, even though what I said about that it's easiest on Disney Cruise Line to be able to go do adult things, they also are doing an extremely good job of providing an abundance of activities for families to do together so that you can have a really nice family vacation experience. So there is great value. I see the value in Disney Cruise Line and the difference in it from other cruise lines that makes that extra cost worthwhile. One thing I will add to this, though, is if you don't want to spend as much on a Disney cruise, the easiest way to avoid that is to be flexible with your dates. The exact same cruise on a Disney Cruise Line ship, same itinerary, same exact cruise, will vary in price dramatically depending on the dates. So if you're looking for the least expensive Disney cruise experience, you want to go in January, maybe February, September are going to be the least expensive cruises. So if you can be flexible with your dates, you can have the exact same Disney Cruise Line experience for less money than people who go at a more expensive time. And then the thing that I always say about Disney Cruise Line that I think sums it up really well, and I'll end the video with this, is other cruise lines, every other cruise line really, are cruise lines that happen to have entertainment on them. It might be really good entertainment, Norwegian has Blue Man Group and they have Broadway style shows on Royal Caribbean and things like that. But they're still ships first and entertainment second. Entertainment is just one thing that they have on their ships. And one thing that we saw during the pandemic is that oftentimes that was one of the offerings on those cruises that was the first to get cut because of issues with the pandemic and stuff. So it's not as high a priority for them as some of the other things about the cruise experience. Whereas Disney is an entertainment company that happens to have a cruise line. So the whole experience is about entertaining the guest, and the whole experience of the cruise, they're looking at the big picture of it and everything that you see and everything that you hear and everybody you talk to and the shows that you go to and everything. It's all part of it. And it's just a very different approach than anything that any other cruise line is doing. I hope that it helps you as we've looked at these 3 myths about Disney Cruise Line. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting or informative, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions about Disney Cruise Line or cruising in general, please leave those down in the comments and I will answer those questions for you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, everyone. Have a great day and safe travels.